What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to a different perspective. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for your boy. And thank you guys for 100K. We just hit 100K yesterday. I appreciate it so much. So I came across this video. The channel is called the Filipina P. She's gonna be talking about what it's like over there in the Philippines, and look like the conversation is gonna be around some RP truths and men's experience over there. So I think it's gonna be fascinating for us to see a perspective from the Philippines in regards to how they move when it comes to dating and relationships. It's funny because a couple of years ago I was telling a few friends of mine, I was like, hey, I was thinking about moving to either Singapore or the Philippines because, hell, for one, they speak English over there. A good amount of people speak English over there. And for two, I'm just looking for something different. I'm just ready to get the heck up out of the United States and try living somewhere else for a chance. And hell, who knows? I can always move back if, I want to. But luckily enough, I'm in the position to where I can do that if I wanted to. So I might just do it. I literally just renewed my lease for this apartment yesterday just for 6 months. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to hightail it out of here and go somewhere else. I don't know where yet. I'll wait till January, then I'll start looking. Yeah, let's check this out. Y'all ready? I'm ready. Let's go.
Hi folks, the Filipina P here, telling it like it is. When I first started my channel, I did a lot of research for my feminism video, and I ran across an interesting viewpoint held by many Western men that, quite frankly, I mostly agree with. It's not so much a movement as it is a lifestyle choice. But since Western media seems determined to ignore them, or worse, I'd like to share what I learned about MGTOW, men going their own way. Now, I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of this wrong, but you guys can correct me.
Interesting. Hold on, she said something. Hold on. Let me hear that real quick.
Determined to ignore them, or worse, I'd like to share what I...
You heard that? You heard that? Right there.
Lifestyle choice. But since Western media seems determined to ignore them...
Western media is ignoring. Mind you, like, she made this video last year, around this time last year, if I'm not mistaken, and she said Western media is ignoring men talking and having these conversations. Well, guess what? 2021, it's a bit hard for them to ignore us now.
Or worse, I'd like to share what I learned about MGTOW, men going their own way. Now, I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of this wrong, but you guys can correct me, and I'm sure you will. The reason I find these men interesting is that, in many ways, they seem like natural allies to us Filipinas and women of other Asian countries. And because there are so many of them showing up on our shores and in my comment section, I thought it would be interesting to discuss just who they are and what they have to say. For those of you unfamiliar with the analogy of the red pill, it's a reference from the movie The Matrix, where Neo is offered the choice between living in blissful ignorance by taking the blue pill or seeing the ugly reality by taking the red.
It's funny because I think I saw yesterday that they're about to do another Matrix movie. Keanu Reeves is back, baby.
You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
MGTOWs have, of course, chosen the red. But what does that actually mean? What reality do they think they see that the men around them refuse to admit? Well, according to the MGTOWs, you Western men have been sold a lie. You were raised to believe a Disney fantasy. Work hard, be a good man, treat your wife well, have children, retire in your golden age and enjoy what you've earned. That's the way it should have been. It's what your parents and society told you it would be.
Yep.
If you were just a good husband and provider.
Yep.
But as you got older, you saw the glitches in the Matrix. You became aware that something was rotten in Denmark and every other Western culture, where women seem to be going way beyond the desire for equality, which is a just and noble goal. But the women in your culture became loud, vulgar, aggressive, physically unattractive, and you notice it from the sidelines of your life.
Shoo!
Comfortable in the belief that it didn't really affect you because maybe you were already married and settled. But then something happened to your own relationship and you got a bitter taste of the new reality. Maybe your kids were taken away, your bank accounts destroyed by lawyers and greedy exes. And when you finally recovered from all that, you realized that the world you thought you lived in was now cold and barren. Your women no longer value or respect you because big government has replaced you. Instead of being the hero, somehow you're now the villain. Marriage is poison to you.
Yes.
And you see absolutely no benefit from it. You're angry, and rightly so. But understanding the reality has resulted in several distinct philosophies.
Okay.
Now, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but there seems to be a segment of the MGTOW population that has become completely anti-female, who view all women with...
And those would be the misogynistic men. When I look in the comments of a lot of RP videos, I see a lot of men who I'm almost wanting to question sexuality because they're going the route of not wanting to deal with women on any level. Saying, oh, you know what? I'm just not even going to date. Oh, I'm not even going to bother with women. Oh, they're this, they're that. I'm like, wait, are you changing lanes? Are you about to switch over and start dealing with men or something? Like, what are you really saying here? You got to clear it up a bit because you sound real confused, or you're making me confused as to what you got going on. You got to be careful because if you get to the point where you're sounding misogynistic, what does that mean? That means you hate women. Because if you hate women, to me, that means you like men. Because I know some dudes that hate women and they gay. You know what I'm saying? So watch it.
Suspicion and don't seem to care much about the way they interact with the opposite sex. But there seems to be a segment of the MGTOW population that has become completely anti-female, who view all women with suspicion and don't seem to care much about the way they interact with the opposite sex. While I can understand how their experiences have left them feeling this way, I don't agree with their views or actions. The term AWOL, which means all women are like that, only applies in a broad sense. I feel your pain, but not all women are out to separate you from your money. Not all of us are lying scammers.
True.
And not all of us are your enemies.
True. You know, I've been thinking about this lately, and I need to zoom in. Look, hold on. I need to zoom in and make myself big for this one, because this is serious. I was thinking about this lately. The people that aren't having any of these issues that we're seeing when it comes to this modern society that we live in, this modern way of being, the people that aren't having any issues at all, that are laughing at all of this BS, are the ones that are sensible, the ones that are understanding, male and female. I was thinking about it yesterday. I was driving. I was going to go take my car to the dealership to get repaired. I just picked it up. I was thinking about 3 married couples that are in my friend circle, right? 3 married couples. In all 3 of these relationships, these marriages, there is a commonality. There's 2 commonalities. For one, there's an Asian in each one. One couple is both Asian. The second couple, the woman is Asian, the guy is white. And the other commonality is they all live at home with the Asian spouse's parent or parents. And then the third commonality is each spouse, each individual in these relationships earn well into the high 5 figures. We're talking 70, 80, 90K plus a year. And all of them seem to be perfectly happy with their situation. They earn good money. They're able to travel the world, but they still live at home with their parents. Another thing that they got in common is they're in their late 30s. See, these are people that are realizing their situation for what it is and still deciding, hey, we're going to be together and bring our resources together and make it work. Because at the end of the day, the love that we have for one another is the most important thing. So you might be thinking, dang, they grown in their late 30s, damn near 40s, still living at home with their parents. It works for them. They're perfectly okay with it. And guess what? These folks still spend money like they got money. We're talking Hermes bags. We're talking Louis Vuitton, this and that, left and right. They're married for a reason. Every person in those parties are suitable candidates for marriage.
If you're just here in the Philippines as a pickup artist, or to get revenge on the women here for how you were treated back home, or to use my country as a playground for your sexual escapades, and don't care who you hurt along the way, I have no sympathy for you, and you're not my friends. If, however, you're one of those men that's reassessed his options, but hasn't given up on women altogether, then let me refer back to the statement I made earlier. It seems to me that MGTOWs and other red-pilled men might be the natural allies of us Filipinas, because in many cases, we're the exact opposite of the very things you detest. I have a feeling that might be one of the reasons there are so many of you here.
Interesting. She said the MGTOWs and the RP men are allies to the Filipino women. See, it's so refreshing to hear a woman say something like that. And she's beautiful. She's absolutely gorgeous. She is coming off as a female that is aware of what it is that we're having to deal with over here in America. She said that we would be an ally to her, meaning a lot of these modern women have put themselves in the position to be what? The exact opposite, which is a rival.
When you look at us, you see an Asian version of the women in your own countries from 50 years ago. And in many ways, you're right. So what is it about Filipinas that you find so appealing? Why are we considered by many to be such a desirable catch? Well, let me take a minute to tell you some of the ways we are different from what you're used to.
Well, for one, I'm pretty sure they feminine. Way more feminine. They don't be yelling and being irate and carrying on. She dresses nice. She take care of herself.
The things that make me proud to be a Filipina.
Okay.
If you're lucky enough to find yourself in a relationship with a quality Filipina, and yes, there are many of us, here are some things you can expect. We're feminine. We take care of ourselves and try to look like women. Even if we're completely broke, somehow we find a way to wear dresses and style our hair in an attractive way. We're frugal. Generally speaking, a Filipino won't go on extravagant shopping sprees even if we have the means. The dress I'm wearing? 100 pesos. $2.
$2 dress and she looks great. Man, I'll be in Walmart sometime and I'm looking at the clothes and stuff, right? And the female section is much larger than the men. And I just take a glance at the clothes in the female section. I'm like, yo, this stuff looks really nice. But women that I know probably wouldn't be caught dead in this stuff. Oh, I'm not wearing that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yo, this stuff looks really good. I don't know a man on this planet that cares about the brand that a female wears. As long as she look good and presentable and that stuff is easy to take off, that's all that matters.
We're not used to having much money anyway. And mostly all we worry about are basic needs. It really doesn't take much for us to feel safe and happy. We can cook and know how to take care of a household. Unlike the dying art of cooking in much of the Western world, give a Filipina just a few simple ingredients and she'll cook you something that will leave you full and satisfied. I'm happy to say that I'm a pretty darn good cook myself. We make great companions. Most of Filipinas I know would be happy just to spend their time with their mates, sharing the passage of time as a couple, not as two people who happen to have the same address.
It's official. I'm moving to the Philippines. I am moving to the Philippines. What? Hey, look. They still make them like this? I don't know if they make them here in America, but they still make them like this? Sheesh.
We're patient. We don't nag much. And we actually care about your opinion. Doesn't that sound refreshing for a change?
I know what it is. I just gotta stop dealing with black women. That's what it is. I keep giving them chances and they keep failing me every single time. I ain't had a black girlfriend yet. I keep trying. I keep trying, but they just don't work. They don't work. Because the stuff that she's saying, I've never came across a black woman that was capable of being like this. I haven't. Not to say that they don't exist. I just ain't found one. And I'm about damn tired of looking. I might need to go to the Philippines.
And maybe the best trait of all, we're not consumed by careers and the desire for personal recognition. We tend to have simple goals and we're happy just being who we are.
Nice.
If you find a good one, Filipinas can be among the most loyal women in the world.
I bet.
And we know how to keep our man happy.
Okay.
Isn't that worth taking a closer look at?
Yes.
Even if it means totally restructuring your life and coming to a strange land with a strange culture?
I don't know about all that, but because you gotta think about it, you will be really, truly restructuring your life and starting from square one. But you gotta think, is finding love that important to you? Is finding love that important to you? For some it is.
I guess you have to ask yourself, what is it you want out of life?
Yep.
What's important to you? What would make you happy? And that brings us back around to the MGTOWs. Just for fun, try Googling MGTOW. The very first search result brands these men as a misogynistic, anti-feminist group tied to white supremacists and the alt-right.
Wow.
In my opinion, that's absolutely ridiculous. From what I can tell, MGTOWs are just men who refuse to play the game in a system rigged against them. They rather work on themselves as individuals and find enlightenment through self-improvement.
There we go.
They're not even a group. There are no protests, no demonstrations, no apparent organization.
You hear? She's a thinker. They're not a group. They're a bunch of individuals.
Just individual guys who see through the smoke and the mirrors of the Truman Show they were living in. Now, most MGTOWs would rather be boiled in oil than ever consider marriage. And many of them don't even believe in long-term relationships. But some of them still entertain it as a possibility.
She nailed me. She just nailed me. Exactly. Exactly. What she said is exactly how I feel. Let me take it back. Check it out.
Now, most MGTOWs would rather be boiled in oil than ever consider marriage. And many of them don't even believe in long-term relationships. But some of them still entertain it as a possibility.
That's exactly how I feel.
If the right conditions were met.
That's it.
And it's those men I'd like to address as I close. To them, I would say, think about the reasons why you became a MGTOW, and then look closely at the women and culture here. Now answer this one question honestly. If the women in your country were like the more traditional women here, would you ever have become a MGTOW? No, you don't need a woman to complete you.
Nope.
And you don't ever need to put your assets at risk again.
Yep.
But maybe, just maybe, life here still resembles the way things were supposed to be before everything went to hell back home.
Precisely.
Just food for thought. After all, you're on my channel for a reason, right? Well, that's all for today, folks. But as always, I'm working on something new I think you'll enjoy. So stay tuned. Till next time.
This has me thinking about a buddy of mine that for a while he would only date au pair women. These are women that were freshly new to the country. You know, they were here on a work visa or whatever just to, you know, take care of some wealthy person's kids, right? And he would only date those type of women. And they would be from all walks of life, from Brazil, Singapore, Philippines, Australia, you name it, that's where they were coming from, right? And he wouldn't have long relationships with them. He would go out on 1 or 2 dates with them, and it would never really go much of anywhere. And I would ask him, I was like, yo, like, why is it that you keep going after these foreign women rather than dating women right here in your own country. He's a white dude about my age. Talking about my former roommate. Some of y'all know of him. And he was like, yeah, man, he's like, the women here in America are just impossible. They're so difficult to deal with. He's like, I don't know what it is about them now, but they're so hard to acquire, and they have so much attitude. I'm like, nah, bro, it gotta be you. I'm like, it gotta be you. I like, you placing this blame on American women. Maybe you need to just look in the mirror yourself. And at this time, I wasn't doing a whole lot of dating myself. I was more focused on building my brand and business. So I wasn't really paying attention to what these women had going on. And I knew that there were many people all across America that were in relationships and getting in new relationships all the time. So I'm like, it gotta be him. It gotta be him. It wasn't until maybe a year later, I stepped out there myself and was trying to date and go out on lots and lots of dates that I noticed what he was saying was really true. I'm like, yo, these women are very, very difficult. And their level and degree of entitlement is so masculine, and it's a major, major turnoff. And then I would follow with ghosting them. I would ghost them so quick because I have very little tolerance for bullshit, right? So when I look at this woman here, so as I listen to this woman and look at her and the way she carries herself, I have this euphoric feeling. It's like this euphoric feeling comes across me, and I'm like, yo, this is a different type of vibe and energy that I'm used to seeing from a woman. This is so feminine. This is so soft. Like when I think back over the women that I pursued the hardest over the last 2 or 3 years, they were the most soft, the most feminine of women, to the point where 2 of them proclaimed they were still virgins and saving themselves for marriage. And if what they were saying were true, which honestly, I had my doubts, but they could have been, because the way they carry themselves, the way they dressed, the way they talk, the way they act, the way they move, it was so soft. It was so feminine. They were so purpose driven. They were so deep within the church. And I've always been attracted to the most soft-spoken, most feminine of women. But this right here makes me want to travel even more so I can really see what else is out there and how people might be moving. People, when I say people, I mean women. How women might move in other countries. Hell, I got friends that have gone back to their country and brought women back over here and married them. Now, this is a very informative video. I will have the link to the original down in the description box below, but you guys, leave your thoughts and comments, opinions down below. Y'all know what time it is. Like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for more. As always, you can follow your boy on the gram and Twitter at Artofkickz, and I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. See ya.